About the speakers, we're going to start with our first speaker. She's Shirley Ramos. Is a front-end developer, UI designer, co-founder of Angular Perú, Google Developer Groups, organizer, mentor and volunteer in tech. With over 5 years of experience in front-end development, she is a remote worker who enjoys working and traveling. She loves video games, painting, and swimming. About our second speaker, Mónica Fidalgo is a front-end product engineer at Cloudflare. Before joining Cloudflare, she worked as a front-end engineer in other products. Mónica made a career change from science and technology and inspired to keep growing professionally while sharing her knowledge to improve others in pursuing their goals. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing and Shirley.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I will share my screen. Okay, well, thank you girls, for the intro, and yeah, I will start. Yeah, okay, hello everyone. Well, today I have the pleasure to be here and share with you, well, a bit of my knowledge. And in this case, I will talk about the introduction to the DOM and element selection. So, well, as you know, I am Shirley Ramos, and well, I am a front-end developer, and I'm really happy to be here. So, the agenda for today will be these 3 points: introduction to the document object model, the DOM, selecting elements, and the last one, element properties and methods. So, well, I think everyone should hear about the DOM. And if it is the first time that you're hearing about this, no worries. It is really easy to understand what is the DOM, and well, it is really important for us to start learning JavaScript. So the DOM, the document object model, is a programming interface for web documents, but it also, we can say that this document is a tree of nodes. It has inside elements, attributes, text, and a lot of elements that we will find in the HTML document, where each part of the document is a node, and that can be accessed and modified using JavaScript. That's why it's really important. Well, so what more can I say about this? I think that this is like the most accurate definition, but we can understand that this DOM will have elements inside, so that will be like the whole part, and inside we will find a lot of elements that we will select it in the JavaScript. So we will see this, and at the end I will show you some examples. So we will see it like in a code pen. Right. So as I was saying, we can see here the DOM. We can understand that this is like the document, and inside we will find the elements. For example, here in the body we can find an H1. It will be a title. This is an element, and a P, like the paragraph, will be a second element. That's why we are talking about that we will find it like in the tree, and every element will be like a node. So selecting elements with JavaScript. Okay, this is a really good part. Well, Selecting elements with JavaScript. Selecting elements is the first step to start working with the DOM, and we have to understand why we are doing this, why we are selecting different elements, and what we can use for this. So there are various methods for this, but the most used in this case, some of you maybe heard about get element by ID. In this case, you will choose an element from the HTML using an ID. For example, you have a button, and this button have a class or maybe an ID. For JavaScript, the best way to have this, to select this element from the HTML, is using an ID. That's why we will have get element by ID, and inside of here will be how is named your element. For example, button ID, button menu, and this would be inside here in the parentheses. So the second one will be query selector. Query selector is the way that we will select an element, but not only an ID. You can select an element that has a class, well, that has a class that also has an ID, and you will take it. So query selector all, for example, you have different elements, but in case you didn't want to select like one by one, you can select every elements that are like the same. For example, if you have 3 divs and you want to select 3 of this, well, I mean every div, you can use query selector all. And the next one is get element by class. In this case, it's similar like the ID, but you can select an element from the HTML using only the class. In this case, your class name. Okay, the next part will be the element properties and methods. In the DOM, DOM elements have properties and methods that allow us to change how they behave. So we can do a lot of things with JavaScript, and starting using the DOM and starting how to manipulate how an element behave in our HTML. We can add functionalities and all of that. We can add animation. We can add also content that are not in the HTML using JavaScript. That's why there are these type of properties and methods. For example, inner HTML updates the entire content of an element. For example, if you are using a card and you want to add some text in that is not that was not wrote in your HTML, you can add information using inner HTML. The second one will be text content, updates only the text content. We will see in a few minutes this example. So you maybe have a button and it has a message. And also you have a paragraph with a button, for example, explaining something. And using this method, you will update this. And that's why we select the element, and using this property and method, we will see the change. Set attribute. Change an attribute of an element. For example, if we have in our HTML an image, and we have in one div an image, and we have in there the source, we can also update this using set attribute, and we can replace the element and only with JavaScript. Remove attribute. Well, in this case, for example, if we have an image we want to remove the alt. I don't know why, but maybe we can do it if we need it. And we can do it this with remove attribute. So this will be only the part that will be like all the info that maybe we can have. But it's really easy to see it when we start building or using some practical examples. That's why I will show you. I don't know if okay. Is it visible or is maybe
Yes,
too
take a
short?
shot.
Okay. Okay, right there, I think. For example, this is an example for the DOM. So to see more, to have it like more clear, we have a div with an ID that is intro, and it has a text, welcome to the DOM. Okay. We also have a button. This ID is change text, and well, the text inside is click me. Okay, so I think I have to refresh. Sorry, one moment. Yeah, okay. So as I was saying, we have a div with the welcome text, welcome to the DOM, and this is the button. So we will start in writing JavaScript. So we have to say document.get element by ID. In this case, we have to select our button, change text. That will be this ID. So as I was saying before, we have to write here how is called or ID. And also it's important to have in mind that an ID has a unique value. So we only have to write it like once because this value will belong to this element that we are selecting. So after that, we are here selecting our button and we have to add an event. In this case, to this to be listened, we will use add event listener. This will be the event that this button will hear. So we click, and we also have to say that we have to declare well, a value like const intro would be like document dot get the element by ID. We are here calling our div intro. And after that, intro dot text content, that would be like the last part that I was saying, like the methods and properties. So we currently have welcome to the DOM, but we will see the change. The DOM has been updated. That will be shown after I click this. So let's see. Okay, if you click, the DOM has been updated. So this is a way that we can show this change. And we, as I was saying, we have to be really clear about the value that we are giving to our net to our elements, like using the ID. So for here, I have another one. Yeah. In this case, about the query selector that I mentioned it before. Okay, we have 3 buttons, and it had a class color button. We have button 1, 2, 3. So we have here to declare our buttons. So it will be const buttons. It will be like equal. We are writing the document that query selector all. This will take all our buttons. And here we are calling the class, the dot, because this is the class color button. So we have to do this for each because we will not call it like one by one. Using for each will be better. We will capture all the buttons, sub buttons, dot for each, and button. And then button will hear the event, the click event, and Then button will add this property, the style, and the color red. So it's supposed that when we click, it will change. Once more, I think that I forgot to reload, sorry. I left this at the beginning. I think it, okay, sorry. I have another one by here. Yeah. Yeah, this is nice. I think this is correct, sorry. We have here another example. In this case, we will use, say, a div with a welcome message and a button that we will have an ID that change content. So this is a welcome guest, and then this will change. We start with a document, we capture our element, in this case change content will be the ID, and we also add the event. We will have, well, we'll have to declare the const welcome message, document that get element by ID, in this case this one, welcome message. And after that, we will use the inner HTML. As I was saying before, when you don't have something wrote in your HTML, but you want to add or update using JavaScript, you can use inner HTML. So if we click on this, it update our content. So the first message was welcome guest, and now it is hello friend. And here's how you can see the change. So I have, I think, another one right here. But just a moment. I will open another one. Yeah. This will be an example with set attribute. So if we have an image and we have this image will have an ID. So our ID is logo. The image has the source. So currently we are seeing this logo. This is a Google last past logo. So we will use a button with an ID change logo. And this will change to another type of logo just to see how we use set attribute. So document dot get element by ID, we will use change logo. And then we will add the event, add event listener click. So we have to call this our logo, const logo is equal to document dot get element by ID logo. We are calling this logo. And then logo set attribute. And here we will pass the new source for the new image that we want. So this will be the new image. And when you click this, you will have the new image. This is how it works, set attribute. So it is really helpful for when you want to change these kind of things, or I don't know, maybe in one example or one kind of landing pages or pages that you need to change images or in some cards maybe. And yeah, yes, this was the last. And I don't know if you have any questions, but I try to finish on time.
Thank you, Shirley. We do have a question. Do you mind if you post your beautiful slides with us in the chat? Some of our participants
Yeah,
want to
sure.
go through it. Amazing presentation. As we know how important it is to manipulate the DOM, and this is very powerful, so everybody should have a hands on it. And we're gonna move to our second speaker, Mónica Fidalgo. We are honored. Thank you, Mónica. Shirley, do you mind if you stop sharing the screen? Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so everybody can hear me? Yes, cool. So first of all, thank you so much, Shirley, for your presentation. It was really pretty, and I really enjoyed the the mouse with the little sparkles. Okay, so for me, I'm going to share my screen. Share this one. Okay, just let me know if everybody is seeing. It's okay. Yes.
Yes, we
Just
do.
not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we had similar ideas, as we can see. I also have cats in a different way. But okay, so basically for my presentation, Shirley did an intro about the DOM manipulation, and continuing with that, we can do several things with the DOM. We can also like trying to change the DOM by changing the classes, adding styles, adding new text to it. So basically, we are talking about that in this part of the class. Going to skip to the second one. We are going through over the working with classes in the DOM manipulation. We're also going to tackle the built-in and custom data attributes that we can add to our HTML document. We can also create HTML dynamically by updating the DOM. And we are also going to have a little overview about HTML strings and security risks that are quite that we need to be aware when we are especially, for example, building forms, but we'll get there in a second. Okay. So first of all, since we are able to update the DOM, we can do that in different ways, and we have a lot of ways to manipulate the DOM. We can also, like, if, for example, if we want to have a page which changes the background, or it gives like an effect when we do when the user interacts with the page, we can do that in different ways. One of those ways is like adding, trying to grab the HTML element that we want, and then we add a class, or either we remove or we toggle the class. Okay, so basically all of these, just for you also to be aware, this is already, sorry, my dog is just passing by. If you hear some noise in the background, it's her. So these are all JavaScript built-in methods. So it's nothing that we need to do. We need to use this, but in case that you are in doubt, like how can I use, how can I remove or add a CSS class in JavaScript? We have a lot of documentation in the available to search for, and I'm going to briefly show how can we access all of this as well. Okay, so basically one of these examples that I have is the toggle, and I'm going to share the slides in the end, so don't worry about that. If you you don't need to write what I have here, because I'm going to share with you. And I also have always a link to an example, so you can see the code in action. In this case, we are going to do a pretty simple one, like I just want to change the background of an image that I have. And I can do that by having a function that will do that for me in JavaScript. We can grab the element in HTML that we want to change the color. And we can just then do a class list dot toggle on that element and adding the class that we want to add. In this example, I have this cute cat sleeping. Okay. I'm going to remove this just because it doesn't matter for now. So basically, okay, we have like a div element. Just separate this. So we have this div where the cat is inside. In case that you want to just confirm, you can just double click, right click on your mouse and click inspect element. Mine is in Portuguese, but you can see it also in yours. And then if you select here over, you can see that we have this div. Zoom it a little. And this div has an ID of cat, okay? So basically we can just grab it. So we are searching over the document. The document is the entire document that we see here when we inspect the elements. So we have like the body, the divs, titles, etc. And inside this div, we have this image, okay? And I just want to change the background color of this image. I can do that very easily by adding a class. Just one point, I need to have created this class already in CSS. So I'm going to add a pre-created class that I did in CSS. So basically, this part here grabs the element itself. So it's grabbing inside the document, find me the ID cat, which is this div here. The ID is cat. And then just do a class list toggle on this and change the background. So basically, if I click here, now it's going to add a background color. And if I click again, it removes because we are doing a toggle. Okay, so we are just adding and removing at the same time. Basically, we are saying to our element, grab the class list of it and toggle by adding a cool cat. If you even see here, just notice something very interesting. It's like if I go here, you see that I only have a class cat, right? It's not doing anything on the styles. You don't see anything here being added in this class. But if I click here the toggle, did you notice that something new appeared here? So now I have cool cat being added to this div. And this cool cat is the one who is giving the background color to it. Okay, you see here? Now if I click again, it removes the cool cat class from this element and we don't have the background color anymore. We also have another ways of doing this. So we have the class list, but we also have, we can add more classes. This is a little more advanced example, but just to, you know, for example, that we can just add multiple classes. We don't need to only add one. You can try, this is an example yourself. You can just edit this code pen that I shared. And for example, you can have several moods for the cat. You can have different colors. And based on that, you can just add a new mood. And then we can just try to see what happens with it. Okay. Okay, so let me also Also, I think it's very interesting for you to share, to have a look at the documentation that we have in W3 Schools. It's totally free, and it has a lot of interesting content on, and with very basic examples on how to update classes. You can just search here, and you can also see here the JavaScript. So basically, you have a lot of things that you can do with JavaScript. I'm going to just quickly share this in the chat. Okay. Oh, by the way, since we are already here, what's the difference between add and toggle class list? So basically, the add is constantly adding the class. So we don't have like a way to do the toggle. The toggle just adds the class, and at the same time, if you click again, it removes the class. So it's always like toggling. It's like a switch. If you go to a light and you just click the switch, you can either turn the light off or on, right? But the add class just adds the class. There isn't like a way to remove, just if you add another method, which is the remove class. Okay, so the toggle does both. The add just adds the class, and the remove just removes the class. Okay, continue. We also have like sometimes we want to give more information to our HTML element, and we want, for example, even to grab it with JavaScript because we want to do something with our HTML element, or we want to have maybe some hidden details that we as developers want to know, but we don't need the user to know. So we can just add a built-in custom data attributes, which is basically just adds the data set to our HTML element. This doesn't affect the element itself, so it's not like the previous example where we saw that we were like adding a class and we were changing the background. In this case, it's just a way to store extra information about an element. One example that we have here is like, for example, this div has the data name Tom and the data age 5, which is the name and the age of our cat. And if I have here the example, if we see here, this is exactly the same code. So basically, if I'm going to just hide this, if I look at this as a user, I don't see like this information anywhere. I don't see, well, the name I see, sorry. I see the name. I can just add another thing, maybe data color. Then data color. My cat is oops, data color. My cat is black. Right. Data is. I'm going to also add here just to have a little fun. Is data h and it is, and oops, was that tone set dot color. Okay. Okay, cool. So for example, here I only have the name of the cat, but if I inspect the element, I see here that we have also the data name, the data color, and the data age of this cat. This is a way, for example, to send some information for the backend, or if I want to grab another details from this element in JavaScript as a developer, or if I want to store extra data that I don't need as a user, but I need as a developer. I even added here a clear example, like we don't see any of this in the front end, but if I just do a console log of is data set name, is data set age, and is data set color, we have the full information here being displayed. And their color, sorry for my misspell it, and their color is, okay, this way looks better, and their color is black. Okay, when to use this as a practical example? I remember I used this once when I really wanted to grab an element in my HTML and I wanted to dynamically add more information when the user did something. So I just grabbed the element, I added a new data set to it, and then I was grabbing the information also with JavaScript because I wanted to grab that specific element by is data set and not by is ID or class. That's a good way of doing that. Yeah, I also have here more information. I think this is also very good documentation here on the W3 School, so I'm going to also share this link. Okay. Then we get to our third point, which is one of my favorite ones, to be honest, which is creating HTML in a dynamic way. Because most of the times we get to a website and we want to interact with the website. We don't have like to have static HTML, right? We want like to be to see content to change when we click on a button, or we just submit a form. For example, we want to see like, yeah, hey, thank you for submitting your choices, your order is going to be dispatched, something like that. So basically, we can do this with JavaScript, and basically, it's amazing. One of the examples that I have, a very basic one as well, is like if I want to just have a fruit basket and I want to add more fruits to my basket, right? So basically, what I did in this example was I just have an array of fruits, so a lot of fruits. Here, just for fun, on the second line inside the function, I'm just like random a little in order to, I never know which fruit am I going to add or add to the basket after. Like I'm just trying to make this array of fruits random. Then I'm just creating a new div on my document. And inside that new div that I have just created, this one, the new fruit, I'm just changing the text in order to add new fruit and then the random fruit created by, selected by kind of, by JavaScript. Then in the end, I just want to append like the new information that was done here in my previously created container in HTML. This sounds a little confusing looking at this, but if we look to our example, okay, I always have an example, so you can always try it. I have here the JavaScript function. As you can see here, I have like a div, so it's the div is around this content. So we have a title, no, we have a title and we have a button here. And basically here, you don't see anything because it's empty. I do like this. You see, there is a div here between the title and the button, but it doesn't have anything because I just want to grab my fruits and add to this fruit container. So basically, every time that I click the button add new fruit, it's going to add a new fruit for me. So basically, I'm just, okay, it's giving me random fruits. I'm not able to select them because I'm doing this in JavaScript, but we can just add this. One example that we can use this a lot, and I advise you to try it out, is to build a to-do list. For example, you can create a to-do list with more items, so you can just add more items to do. And then when you have it completed, you can just use the other method, which was the add class, to add, like, for example, a green check. We can have both. Yeah, so always try. And don't be afraid to break things, because that's how we all learn. And then we finally get to our last point, which is HTML strings and security risks. Basically, what is it? This is a type of security vulnerability that allows an attacker to inject malicious codes in a website. This can be done in many different ways, but one of the most used way is, like, when you have a form and you are saving some information, this information is going to be sent to a database, right? So it's going to store your username, your email, your telephone number. A lot of confidential information is going to be sent to the database. As an attacker, I can understand if that form is not well protected. So we can just try to inject malicious script in the user input, and that is going to be saved in the database. That can be used to extract data from other users, private data about the other users can be just hacked, because we can just add a script to the user input, and that is going to be sent to the database, and we don't want anything of that. Okay, so basically, this is a very basic example. This is not even, like, completely working, but one of the guidelines is when, for example, when we are using JavaScript to change the DOM, it's better not to use the inner HTML, because hackers can easily just access to that inner HTML method, and they can inject their own scripts into your website. So in these cases, how can we then prevent this? Since I don't have, like, a clear example, and then I'm not going to be a hacker in front of you, okay, I just going to share the documentation that I found the most useful here, because, like, it has a lot of information in different ways. How can we prevent, like, this from happening? We can do, for example, when the user types something on the input, we can check what the user is typing, and we can prevent some characters or scripts to be inserted on the input. That way we are not allowing that from being sent to the backend already. We can just try to use also a content security policy that is going to check a lot of content that are allowed to be loaded on your web page, because I can just simply try to access the script of the page, and then I can just add malicious scripts in it as well. As I said, we can also check for the input validation. We can use regex in JavaScript to check the what is being inputted. Yeah, so many things that we can use to prevent this. Of course, that when we are starting, it's like hard to think about everything when we are, for example, building a form, but it's good for us to be aware that if we are building something very important, for example, a website for a bank or for a crypto app, something like that, it's like there is a lot of information and data that can be hacked. So we also need to prevent what the user is inputting in the form or trying to inject in the script of that page to not have issues in the future and affecting a lot of clients, because we don't want that. Yeah, and basically that's it. We get to the end of our presentation, and I'm going to just quickly share already with you this public link if it creates. Okay, here it is.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
The last topic, it's so important. So do we have actually a question regarding that? Can image tag could be used in an access attack?
Sorry,
Yeah.
which?
Can image tag, yeah, we're having a question in the chat. Can image tag could be used for attack, script attack?
I'm not familiar with that. I'm more familiar with scripts that can be added. But maybe I'm not going to discard that. No, I would need to double check. I don't know if someone already knows this answer or had issues. You can share as well.
Yeah, looks like we can. Yeah, pretty much you can insert the image and you can make a tag. We also do have a second question. It's going to be probably for Shirley or both of you. How can you toggle a CSS class on an element?
Okay, I think the best way is like this one that I can also share directly the code, this code pen. Basically, I have this element here that I want to change the background of it. I'm not changing the background directly. I'm adding this class to this element. So basically, when I'm doing the class list.toggle, I'm just saying in this element, which is my cat div, this one, just toggle this class, okay? I know that this is a class. I don't need to add a dot before for classes, because we are already saying, okay, in this element, the cat div element, which is this one, in the class list that this element has, which is this one, so basically this class here, please toggle the coolcat class, which is this one. Imagine that I change the name of it and I do a sleeping cat, okay? If I try to do this and toggle the color, the background color, is not going to work anymore, okay? Because I'm trying to grab a cool cat class, but if you see here in my CSS, I don't have one. I have a sleeping cat. This should even throw an error. If I go to my console, I would say that it's not. Just if doesn't find the element. For the class list is not doing that. Okay, but now that I change this, if I just also change to sleeping cat here and save, if I just click, I'm adding this, okay? And I can even change this to another thing. You see that now it's pink. So this is a way. Create an element, create a class for that element. Then in JavaScript, grab the element. And then fourth point, change the element class with JavaScript. I don't know if it answers your question.
Yes, Monica, it was very, very helpful. Thank you for sharing all the information and all the links. Please do let us know if you have any questions in the chat. Our speakers would love to answer any questions. And now I'm going to share a screen. Okay, so we do having, one second, I just want to make sure that I'm sharing the screen. We do having one more update. We are going to say bravo, congratulations to our JavaScript enthusiastic shining in a spotlight. This is Warren, Rora, and Uzma, being so consistent with their homework and being so consistent with their study learning. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And I just want to say thank you for our speakers. Thank you for Shirley and for Monica, who are being amazing. They went above and beyond, and we are honored to have you as speakers.